Hello and greetings, fellow StarCrafters. PGO Milncraft here with game number 2 between the players Fnatic, MSI, TT1 versus Complexity's MVP DongRaeGu. Because I did not really get to finish my player intros, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Fnatic, MSI, I think that's two teams, or maybe it's just one. Fnatic merged with MSI, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure about that. But I do know that Fnatic is a team. I'm not sure what MSI is. Complexity's MVP DongRaeGu is a merge. It's a Korean team which has an affiliated foreigner team, foreigner being non-Korean. And so that's MVP is the Korean team and Complexity is the foreign team. Other examples of that is OGS, which is Old Generations, is merged with, well, it's affiliated with Team Liquid. People from Team Liquid, which used to include Huck and Jinro for a while, stayed with them, trained with them in Korea, and they chrono boosted a little bit to a supply block right there. And you know they just they trained together, they helped each other with builds. You could use them for the team league because the GSTL allows for that. And okay, so let's talk about the players a little bit after the team affiliations. TT1 I think I talked about as well. He's a pretty good Protoss foreigner. I don't know his playstyle too much, to really be honest with you, except that I do know that he's done well at primarily MLG events. It looks like it's going to be a speeding expand, by the way, not a 6-pool for DongRaeGu this time. He got, at the first national tournament in Dallas at MLG, he actually got second, which is really impressive. He finished actually just behind Jinro in that tournament, and he's on like 4th and 8th at a couple other MLG events. And since MLG events have a lot of really good players, including a lot of really good Koreans who play in them, and you know, I mean, even if you think that foreigners tend to be worse than Koreans, like, he's definitely doing a very good job. Also, nice probe micro right there. Just attacking a little bit, being a little bit of a nuisance with his probe. It's always good to be able to do that. Looks like he is going to send it home or possibly try to block an expansion going on, as it appears to be exactly what he's doing. Meanwhile, we are seeing a Forge Fast Expand. Fairly standard to see Protoss players doing that. You don't have to do a Forge Fast Expand on this map, but it's certainly possible, and you can do, most pro players do a nice little wall and right across here. That's actually a really cool pylon placement. I don't think I've ever seen it quite that far back. I think normally it's slightly to the corner over here. But either way, that's really nice and allows you to put buildings back here as well. If you want like a gateway or cybernetics core back here, or Stargate or something like that. Looks like the cannon was slightly placed off. It's always important to be able to place your cannons. Ooh, looks like that probe was taken out, but the pylon did go down, so that is going to delay the hatchery just a little bit, as those lings are going to go ahead and have to attack it. But I have seen pro players, including most notably MC at the MLG event, actually blocked his own Nexus with a pylon as part of his wall-in, which just like never happens for pro players because they practice the build so often. They know exactly where each of the buildings should go. You know, like, all of this is pre-planned out before the game. He knows exactly where he's going to place each of these buildings. And actually, this is an interesting wall-off. Okay, so he built the cannon, which is because it was a speeding expand, and this is a somewhat small map. So he built the cannon before the gateway. That's normal. But then he built double gateway. I don't know if I've ever quite seen that. I suppose it's just because he has the minerals, and he can't build a cybernetics core, obviously, until the gateway is completed. But it looks like he's actually, he's going to be gasless for a little while. So he might actually be going for a little bit of zealot pressure. So what you do is, you know, you do the delayed Forge Fast Expand, and then you get 2 gateways, and you could actually then, nice little wall right here with the pylon, stopping the Zerglings from getting across on that side. And the probes are going to go ahead and block right here as well. He should probably actually put them on hold position so that the Zerglings, looks like MVP DongRaeGu is going to go ahead and take out that cannon right there. That's actually a pretty devastating blow right now, as there's nothing to protect these pylons. So he is getting double zealots. He was planning to put pressure on his opponent. You chrono boost out these zealots and get like 6 to 8 zealots without gas, and you could actually put pressure on your opponent. Looks like another cannon is going to go down, but both of these pylons are going to go down as well. The zealots are still not yet completed. I'm not quite sure why he's not chrono boosting them out. He is now just chrono boosting them out. However, the next round of zealots are going to be supply blocked, and the Zerglings are going to get into his base. That is a relatively devastating blow for him right now. He's going to have to micro to his heart. He's going to be able to micro to his heart's content, but MVP DongRaeGu is just going to go ahead and move his forces out. Looks like move his Zerglings out whenever those probes turn to attack. And all it's going to do is delay mining and allow him to get tons and tons of scouting information. And if you think it's hard to kill speed Zerglings with sentries, well, just try with zealots. It is absolutely impossible to do it as long as DongRaeGu does not mess up his micro, which he is probably not going to be able to do. Meanwhile, DongRaeGu is actually taking a third right now, as you can see the hatchery on the minimap right there. He is taking a third and droning up heavily. He's also switching into a Roach Warren as he knows his opponent is behind tech. He also sees that there is absolutely no gases taken right now, so he knows that he is absolutely safe from any sort of aggression that the Protoss players can instigate. Looks like a couple more Zerglings were trapped by the probes. Nice job there from TT1. These two Zerglings are going to bounce around just a little bit more, though. It looks like now TT1 is going to go ahead and take just 2 gases so far. DongRaeGu, meanwhile, I think is still only on 1 gas. However, he does have a Roach Warren. And actually, it was a really, really late gas. If you thought the Spinishua Ice Fisher build was a late gas, this is a gas at like 50 supply. Oh no, it's because he built roaches. My mistake. Okay, so he did have like 125 gas, and he has speed, of course. Yeah, my mistake. That was just incorrect. But he stopped getting gas for a while, or maybe he just got roach. No, he must have stopped getting gas for a while in order to get that early third. And then has been droning up heavily, and now he's actually following this up with a Zergling and Roach run, and because he knows that his opponent can only actually have Zerglings, or Zealots at this point in time, he's actually going to be able to deal a lot of damage with it. Now, there are 3 cannons, which are pretty well placed, so it's going to be kind of difficult for these Roaches to be able to get in, but they should be able to deal damage from the right side of the base in order to be able to take this out. Looks like that gas extractor, which is called an assimilator for the Protoss, is going to go ahead and be taken out right away. You can see that this wall was rebuilt right here. This little pylon wall to stop any sort of Zergling run-throughs. Looks like he's going to have to engage with the probes right now, actually, to try to save that cannon, and that cannon is going to be taken out again. However, there is a complete surround on Roaches. Unfortunately, Roaches are very, very good against workers right now, so they are taking out a large number of workers. I'm kind of surprised that DongRaeGu, he did build extra Zerglings. Oh, but he's getting counterattacked. I entirely missed this counterattack right there. How many kills do we have on these Zealots? What is that? 5 kills on these Zealots right now are going to be able to focus fire this hatchery down, and the third is going to fall. Meanwhile, the rest of these Roaches were in fact taken out right here. And I need to be paying more attention, as there can be multiple combats going on at once. It is not just one combat. And I'll try to pay more attention to the mini-map. So he is going to have a creep tumor, most notably that it will save that larva if he ever decides to use it. That Zergling is going to bounce around, but now those Stalkers are out, so they should be able to take down any errant Zerglings. These Zerglings are still hanging out inside the base. They are not welcome, however. The party is in fact over, and they don't have to go home, but they definitely can't stay there, as those Stalkers actually probably should be looking for them at this point in time. There is, if you look though, there are lots of levels of walling right there. I think there's one slot right here where Fnatic TT1 can actually get full. Actually, maybe not. There might not even be a gap right there. It's hard to tell, to be honest. To be honest, rotating it doesn't help at all either. But, so I think there is possibly a gap there. Those Zerglings, yep, Zerglings did run around. The sentries have spotted them and fired on them just a little bit with their little wimpy flashlight guns. Looks like the Zerglings are going to move in, try to take out a probe. They are going to delay mining just slightly on those probes, as they do have to reset their mining, and that last Zergling is going to be taken out and explode in a pile of gore. Okay, so let's take a look at exactly where everyone's at right now. DongRaeGu appears to be ahead right now. Even though his third was taken out, he is up to a 33 supply lead, which is absolutely monumental. A 50% supply lead at this point in time, and he's got better unit composition because he has so many roaches. Now, on the other hand, we see that TT1 is actually floating a large amount of minerals, and he has how many gateways right now? He only has 4 gates? No, 5 gates. He has 5 gates. And he just built a 6th gate. And Warp Gate is going to just finish, so his supply is going to jump as soon as he does the next Warp in, so he's not as far behind as it might possibly seem. But I would say definitely DongRaeGu is in the lead as a result of his nice little attacks and very well-timed attacks. Meanwhile, we do see a Warp Prism actually coming out. That's awesome. I have been waiting to see a Warp Prism, or at least more Warp Prism play, rather, not prey. Although Warp Prism prey, I suppose, is also accurate, as they will fall prey to the Warp Prism. But anyway, alright. So he's getting a Warp Prism. Almost certainly that's going to be for harassment, I would guess, of the main, but possibly of the third as well. The third will be well defended with those Spine Crawlers right there, though, so he's going to need more than Zealots, most likely, in order to be able to bust it. Probably some Stalkers actually just kind of hanging out back here on the wall would do quite nicely. This little push, though, from DongRaeGu might deal a lot of damage. Spire is on the way for DongRaeGu. Burrow is already completed. However, the cannons are going to make a defensive burrow. I mean, it's going to make defending against these roaches pretty easy. Speed is done, notably, as well. And those roaches are able to jump in and out pretty quickly. Able to snipe a gas, able to snipe a pylon. It's always good to deal damage when you can. And gas to a Protoss player who is forced to take their gas so late is absolutely devastating, just because of how incredibly gas-starved Protoss players are. He tried to... Why was there not... Was he out of force fields? Oh my god, he is out of force fields. Where's his other sentries? Wait a second. Did I miss those sentries getting taken out? There were 3 other sentries. I have no idea what happened to those. There was not a push I missed. I did not Yeah, there's no way I missed a push. It's possible that I missed... Alright, so it's possible that I missed some sort of random attack going in that ended up taking out those sentries, or maybe the small group of Zerglings that were in there somehow took them out. I'm not sure what happened to those sentries. But anyway, he did only have one sentry, so one force field. If he had two force fields, he actually would have been able to trap the vast majority of those roaches and taken them out. And that would have been absolutely a huge win and would even up supply a lot, definitely for Fnatic TT1. Looks like he's probably going to opt for a third base right now. He's going to be in just a little bit of trouble, however, as 12 Mutalists are in the way, as well as air attack level 1. And this very nice Roach Ling composition right here. Oh, sentries were inside of the Warp Prism. Okay. Okay, it was a sentry drop. Okay, so that's why I didn't have the additional force fields. Now he has the force fields, perfectly placed force fields. Unfortunately, Roach speed is going to negate a certain amount of that. However, a lot of damage was dealt that Colossus can bust in order to continue the pursuit of those roaches. But I've never seen 3 force fields more aptly placed right at the perfect timing. 2 Mutalisks thrown away right there. Meanwhile, the empty Warp Prism is going to go ahead and sail across. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that. The Mutalisks are going to take that out almost immediately. Goodbye, Warp Prism. Good thing the Sentries decided not to take a ride in that time, as they've already had their free ride. He is taking out a number of creep tumors, however, and going to put a lot of pressure against this base. Actually, I don't think DongRaeGu has enough forces, but DongRaeGu is actually going for a massive counterattack right now, and Overseer has spied that the base is absolutely empty right now. He's building as many cannons as he can right now, but a lot of damage is going to be dealt. Meanwhile, looks like TT1 is going to have free reign at that base, but nice top command on these probes, is able to absorb a lot of the Ling damage right there and keep the Lings relatively bottled up. That Sentry is going to be able to finish and should lay down a force field immediately right now. It's hard to say exactly which army he's going to want to be macroing right now, as he has lost all of those probes. Kind of surprising that he decided to turn around right now, as I think it is way too late, as he's definitely going to lose this hatchery as long as DongRaeGu focuses fire on that hatchery. He might not actually be expecting TT1 to be able to turn around, and it looks like he will be able to focus fire on that Nexus rather, and then is going to be able to get away with the vast majority of his forces afterwards. That is really surprising to me. Oh, losing a Colossus as well. I have no idea what TT1 went back right there. That was a classic base race scenario, and in those kinds of base race scenarios, when you're that close to your opponent's base, you know, attacking their base already, you absolutely cannot go back. He also left a large amount of his forces over here. I don't think he had any more forces, so he's going to want to regroup with those almost immediately in order to make sure he can deal a lot of damage. But an engagement from DongRaeGu before that can happen is going to go across. Some nice force fields are going to protect the majority of the Protoss army from any sort of attacks, but the Roaches are going to be able to burrow underneath it. Meanwhile, the reinforcements have got on the wrong side of the force fields, and they're going to be taken out almost immediately. Lings are extremely good against Immortals, and Immortals are conversely quite horrible against Lings. And it looks like this force is going to be taken out as well, and DongRaeGu is going to clean house against TT1 this game as well. And it looks like TT1 made a fatal error of going home after the base race had already started. His Nexus had already been taken out, which means that he could start the base race behind, first of all, as you know, he basically had to kill MVP's base, and MVP DongRaeGu had the chance to not just take out his Nexus, but then go back, regroup, build more units, and then engage his force in a way that he wanted to. Definitely not a good decision from TT1 that ended up proving to be the fatal one in this particular match. Plus, you know, a couple of other minor mistakes and the Ling run-bys that ended up being quite successful in this Forge Fast Expand, which is, of course, the danger of going a Forge Fast Expand, is it is an economic build, but, of course, you can suffer early Ling run-bys, early Roaches, that sort of thing. As with any heavy economic build, it does come with risks, and unfortunately for TT1, those risks did not pay out this game, so we're going to have to move on to game number 3. This is PGL Milncraft signing off.